cutting up so many of these into like sound bites and then arranging them. That's the beauty of editing. Okay, roll the intro. Welcome back to the Potato Show, where I broke 2 teeth and had to take a several-month-long hiatus. We're still working on it. I bit down on a pistachio shell, and it moved a filling on one upper tooth and broke the tooth underneath. Teeth 3 and 30, if that means anything to you. It doesn't mean anything to me, except for those are the 2 teeth that hurt. I am diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos, and I keep having my jaw dislocate. It is so frustrating. I'm having to take all this freaking pain medication and go to the dentist every 1 to 2 days. It's terrible. Anyways, I am having some slight issues with speech and mouth positioning and whatever, so bear with me. I have been going stir crazy. The only thing that's really been sustaining me and keeping me sane, well, sane, is the internet. Scrolling through the bowels of the internet into Am I the A-hole? Our favorite subreddit. For those who are uninitiated and have lives, Am I the A-hole, or AITA, is a subreddit described as a catharsis for the frustrated moral philosopher in all of us, and a place to finally find out if you were wrong in an argument that's been bothering you. Tell us about any non-violent conflict that you have experienced. Give us both sides of the story and find out if you're right or you're the a-hole. A jury of their peers, aka the 6 million members of the subreddit, decide who is and is not in the wrong. There are labels. We have a-hole, or YTA, you're the a-hole. We have NTA, not the a-hole. We have NAH, no a-holes here. And finally, ESH, which is everyone sucks here. An elusive title. I'm going to read to you some AITA posts that I have compiled that I think really cover the varying aspects of what AITA truly is. A cluster. My jaw just dislocated. I am now going to read my favorite AITA post of all time. This particular post is something that I treasure. It is near and dear to my heart. Pure gold, in my opinion. AITA for showing my gay friend my comic collection. Innocuous title. I, 28 female, recently invited my, 25 male, gay friend over for dinner and just general hanging out. We're both the only out queer people at work, so that's how we became friends. We started talking about literature and books and stuff, and I told him I preferred comics, and he asked what kind of comics. I was upfront with the kind of comics I liked: boys love, which is a genre of comics/books that feature male-on-male romance and more commonly called yaoi. And he was surprised and asked to see them. I took him to my bedroom, where I kept my stuff, and showed him. He got really quiet when I started showing him the comics I read, and I asked him what was wrong. He said he thought I was kind of weird for reading and liking these comics, and that it made him uncomfortable that I had a fixation on toxic and weird gay. I was hurt that he was talking about my interests like this, so I told him BL, boys love, was how I found out I was queer, but he was still uncomfortable, so I just brushed it off and we went back to talking about other things. He's been kind of distant ever since then, and I'm wondering if he's just being sensitive or I legitimately effed up. So, AITA for showing him my BL collection. Yes! Oh my god! This person brought their coworker into their home, showed them their erotica, and was like, yeah, you'll like these because you're gay. One of them is killing stalking. I love this subreddit. Pure gold. No a-holes here. His reaction is understandable, as he may have had to deal with gay fetishization before. He could need more reassurance before being okay with the idea that you enjoy boy love. I hope you guys work things out. OP's response. I hope so. He did mention something about fetishization, but the characters are fictional, so I don't see how that could even remotely apply. Incredible. Amazing. Spectacular. Never been done before. I don't know how to break this to you, OP, but being gay is not fictional. OP says, I guess I thought since he was queer, he would be fine with it. I'll be sad to lose a friend from this. You assumed that that was a through line, and therefore, this is her coworker. Do I need to explain more? This one is a doozy. AITA for beating my dinner into mush. Definitely hooks you in, makes you want to know, why would you be an a-hole for that? Or why would you not be an a-hole, depending on your perspective. I've been living with my girlfriend for a few months now, and she's always been a great cook. However, I have a strange habit of beating my food into mush before I eat it. I've been doing it for years, and I just don't seem to enjoy food as much when it isn't smushed. My girlfriend has been getting increasingly annoyed with this habit, and last night she finally snapped at me after I started beating my portion into a mushy pulp. She got angry and accused me of disrespecting her hard work cooking and ruining the food. I tried to explain that it was just something I did and that I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but she was so upset that she ended up storming out of the room and not talking to me for the rest of the night. I know that my habit can be strange and off-putting to others, but I've been doing it for so long that it's become part of my routine. AITA for continuing to beat my dinner into mush, even when it upsets my girlfriend? Edit. I am diagnosed with autism. Edit 2. I do not do this in public. If I am at a restaurant, I order soft food like soup, rice, pasta, etc., or do not eat. Now, my personal opinion is she's upset because she spent a long time cooking and she watched someone just completely destroy it, and he is upset because, well, he doesn't like eating textures that aren't super soft. Both of those are fine. I don't think there's really an a-hole here. But what is hysterical to me is that OP notices his girlfriend is becoming increasingly upset about this, but doesn't explain, does not take a moment to notice, identify, and explain that the reason for mushing it all together is not out of hatred for her food, but out of hatred for textures that are not mush. The respondents, the people in the comments, most of them are saying NTA, not the a-hole, which makes sense. So, I have noticed a consistent habit of people posting ridiculously personal things about other people. There's so much airing of dirty laundry, of strangers' dirty laundry, of your friends' dirty laundry, like the constant throwaway because XYZ knows my Reddit and I am spilling deeply personal information on the internet about them. God forbid they run across it and discover that I betrayed their trust. I don't even know. This is the internet. We all know this is the internet. I hope. I found an AITA where the basis is they are asking strangers to decide, to determine whether or not their sister should have a baby, is fit to have a child. I cannot fathom even asking. Allow me. AITA for not being supportive of my disabled sister having a baby. I, 30F, have a sister, 32F, who has a learning disability. She got married last summer to a man who also has a similar disability. Recently, they've been talking about having a child. The rest of the family are on board with the idea, but I have my concerns. Whilst my sister and her husband live in their own place and both work part-time jobs, I know it's taken my sister a long time to get to this point. She's much more independent than she once was, but still receives support from our mom and myself. She's quite childlike sometimes, with not always making the best decisions and struggling to keep organized and on top of things. She also gets stressed and anxious. I can see much of the responsibility falling to my mom and inevitably to me. I've always been happy to help my sister. I love her dearly, but I can't see that being in anyone's best interest. I've been open about my opinion towards this, and my family thinks I'm being unfair, and she can if she wants to. I suppose she can. It is her choice, but it's not something I'd want to encourage like the rest of my family are doing. My mom is annoyed at me for telling my sister it's not a good idea because it upset her, but as I love her, I want to be honest with her. I want her to know I want her to fully know what she's committing to. Am I the a-hole? Edit. To save some confusion I've seen in the comments, she has a developmental/cognitive disability. I think maybe I'm not as clued up on terminology as I really should be. Learning disabilities, where I am, is usually used to describe intellectual types of disabilities as opposed to physical. That clears up absolutely nothing. These are strangers. Someone asked for them to be a little more specific. Someone says, what does she have specifically? Because the way you're explaining it, her disabilities could be literally anything with any severity. I agree with this. It's so vague. You have an inherent bias towards yourself when you post here. So by being super vague about the disability and what about it that would make having a child irresponsible, it just makes it seem like you think disabled people are incapable of living a life and doing things that have children, even if their disability isn't severe enough to prevent it. And I agree with that comment. I have not really seen anything indicating to the contrary. OP says, I'm not purposefully being vague. Her diagnosis was pretty vague. She was diagnosed with global developmental delay as a child. She had some oxygen deprivation. I don't know every single detail because I am younger than her. I don't remember her early years. This is why in my original post, I did try to explain some of the ways in which she struggles because most disabilities do have a wide range anyway. Most diagnoses wouldn't tell you whether someone certainly could or couldn't raise a child. It's about their individual specifically and their capabilities. I think my sister's more childlike emotional state would make it difficult for her, especially beyond the first years when the child becomes a teenager, for example. There may be a day when they surpass my sister in their understanding and abilities, and she subsequently ends up relying on them more than they can rely on her as a parent. So, this person's thesis, OP's thesis, is that they are concerned that the child would eventually become more mature, or at least more mature than the parent. That's what they say here. But before that, they were saying that their concern was that the child would actually end up relying on them instead. So there's already a bit of waffling about, in my opinion. And now the Redditors are diagnosing this vague global oxygen deprivation as cerebral palsy, having never met this person and only having the information that I just shared. That sounds like cerebral palsy, which can vary widely on severity. Just how much support does your sister need on a daily basis? Does she have sensitivities to auditory stimuli? Does she get easily overwhelmed? What is her response to being stressed and overwhelmed? I can't finish reading this comment, you guys. This person is asking if they're an a-hole for determining that their sister's level of intellectual disability is too severe for her sister to have a child And Reddit is asking for specifics on the disability to determine whether or not, yes, they do deserve to have a child, or no. When I say that this subreddit has sustained me, it is purely because I got into this absolutely ridiculous situation that I'm still mad at myself for. But at least I am not on the internet asking about the ethics of my sister's future child based on her intellectual disability and giving Reddit information so that they can decide if I am right in my determination. Does no one look at this and think, wait a second, this is absurd? How could you possibly ask that? Oh my god. This subreddit makes me feel insane. It is truly baffling to me. Yes, another horrific AITA. Would I be the a-hole if I told my significant other's mum she's overstepping boundaries and making me uncomfortable? So me, 20F, and my partner, 23M, are staying with his mum while we organize housing in another city since we are moving soon. She originally invited just my partner out, claiming she didn't want me to be there, and was very insistent on my partner staying with her, even though my own mother said she would be very happy to put us both up. But after having a talk to my partner, he talked to his mom and she agreed to let us both stay for a short time. She lives in a 2-story house on a private lot of land next to a small beach. We have been given the top floor since it has its own kitchen, bathroom, etc. Theoretically, we could stay and she would never see us, so I don't know why me staying was an issue. While we have been here, she has been continuously overstepping and coming into our room while we were both asleep. It is hot here, so we both sleep with no clothes on, and she has seen her son without clothes more than once while we have been here. And possibly me too. We tried locking the doors, but then she just jiggles the locks and bangs on the doors while we are resting in the mornings until we wake up and let her in. Then she complains about us using the locks. The doors are also glass, and you can see the bed from the doors, so she peeks in sometimes. It makes me uncomfortable. Especially since when we first met, son and mom were staying elsewhere flatting. I was staying the night and woke up in the early morning to her lying next to her son, cuddling him while he was asleep. He was also not wearing clothes. I really don't like that she just invites herself in and also comments on our lifestyles constantly. She's very clinging to him and acts quite weird, making comments like, he doesn't need a partner, he needs a mum, after we had a small fight over him not picking up his clothes. I can see that she's just a concerned parent, and I can understand why. He has bad mental health issues from severe abuse of drugs in his younger days, so I don't know if she's overstepping or just being a caring mother. Would I be the a-hole if I tell her that constantly coming in, peeking, and trying to talk to us while we were asleep? Would I be the a-hole if I tell her that constantly coming in, peeking, and trying to talk to us while we are trying to sleep in bed with no clothes on makes me very uncomfortable? I'm worried I might be if I talk to her, since she's helped us so much with house hunting, offering to cover part of the bond, and letting us stay at her house. And it is her house, so asking her to stay out of our area feels rude. Edit. He doesn't see how his mother acts or her being clingy because they lost their dad in a horrific accident a few years ago. And he sees the mum reacting by living for her boys. Though I haven't seen her act this way with her partner's brother, who's older than him. He is, however, seeing how uncomfortable this makes me and is trying to stop. The top comment, I think, is actually pretty accurate here. This isn't an AITA situation. This is a run situation. I could probably just keep finding weird ones and read them for hours with no purpose. This is all I've been doing. I don't even fully have a purpose to this video. AITA is where you go when everything is going terribly wrong for you. You will find something that you relate to in a weird way, and you will find many, many things that you didn't even know that conflict was possible, but it is. You didn't know someone could get mad about that, but they can, and you didn't know that someone could mess up that badly, but they did. We love schadenfreude. We love revenge. We love feeling superior and like we are personally serving justice in a world where justice is feeling few and far between. It makes us feel like we're really participating in something, helping people. When in reality, we are just either saying, you suck, or they suck. I just could not, oh my God. Just had a moment, I don't know. I'm gonna go to bed.